3 permits, and total fees collected has been $1,431,373.12. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Shine. Mr. King, Street Department.
So other than what we highlighted on earlier with the LEFAC and other items, the community crossings grant that we were awarded the $1.5 million. The streets that are going to be done are 63rd Avenue from Taft Street west to the end, 101st Avenue, basically from Mississippi to Colorado Street, Harms Road from 88th Drive to Colorado, West 70th Place from Madison Street to Harrison, Buchanan Street from 73rd Avenue to Pierce, and Pierce from West 72nd to West 72nd Avenue to West 72nd Lane. So that's our community crossings projects. The Merrillville paving project, the concrete work has been completed on 84th Avenue between Broadway and Merrillville Road, also on Grant Street between US 30 and 86th Avenue. The roadway milling has started. They're milling up on the north end of town right now, Jackson Street, 57th to 58th, Van Buren, 57th to 58th. Another section of Van Buren from the, there's a charter school up there to 59th Avenue. We also did West 58th Avenue from Jackson to Van Buren, and Mississippi Street from 53rd to 57th. And the paving will start on Thursday. That's all I got.
How late can they continue paving, do you think?
It's all weather dependent. You know, we watch the temperatures. We follow the NDOT specifications when we do it. I mean, I've seen where we paved, have warm years. We paved almost up to Christmas. So just the asphalt plants depend on weather, but it's all based on the temperature.
Are they done milling, Steve?
No,
Okay.
no, we're not done.
And the snow plows are ready to go? Hate to talk
Snowplow,
about
they're
that.
working on those now. Yeah, we're watching the weather. The salt boxes have started going back on.
Okay.
The plows are in the shop ready to go. But yeah, we got plenty of salt.
Great, thank you. Town Manager's Report. Mr. Griffin.
Mr. President, Madam Vice President, members of the council, Mr. January, you have before you my monthly report. I encourage you to read it. It's better reading than me talking about it. I do want to call your attention to one highlight. I did successfully get awarded for the town of Merrillville through the formula grant, so the amount of money was pretty much guaranteed. I just had to make sure I got on time and clicked the right places to click. For $76,330, a Federal Energy Efficiency Conservation Grant. I will be in a webinar tomorrow to understand the balance of it. The goal was to try to get LED lights for us, and if there was still money left, to put some in the street department offices. I will keep the council informed of it. I'm glad that we got an exogenous revenue source. Unless there's a question of me directly, Mr. President, I'll be pleased to be seated.
Any questions for Mr. Griffin?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Mr. January, Clerk Treasurer's Office.
Sure. All right, so for the month of October, at the end of the month, we had $38,240,600.68. We also had the pleasure of receiving another food and beverage check, food and beverage tax check, $193,218.40. And as my assistant back there will note, our numbers are just really fluctuating. We had about 100 people, businesses that participated in providing the food and beverage tax. And I want to say that's down from the previous month. There are people that paid previous months, but they didn't pay all of the months. So we still got a lot of work to do with that. But in regards to the food and beverage tax so far this year, we've collected $847,382.73. So we're on course to have probably about $1 million in that fund before the next year. That concludes my, or actually, another thing that I wanted to mention. I know we got a lot going on. People are still upset about the taxes. There was a Wall Street Journal article, and I loved how they read it. It said Americans staged a property tax revolt on Election Day. A number of states around the country had election had ballots or measures on their ballots that got defeated. And that's because we have got to really, as we're doing, watch every single penny that we spend because taxpayers are very sensitive about their money.
Very good. Moving on tonight to general orders. We have ordinance 24-43. Mr. Griffin.
Mr. President, Madam Vice President, members of the council, Mr. January, this is a proposed additional appropriation. As you know, the council has participated in the authorizations that led to the permission of the Fire Protection Territory to issue bonds for several equipment matters. This additional appropriation ordinance, we're asking that it just be considered for first reading. Under the Indiana law regarding additional appropriations, we have to have a public hearing. Should it make first reading tonight, we'll have that public hearing at your second meeting in the month. The amount that it involves is $5,284,960. That should be equal to the proceeds from the bond as it's intended to be sold. And again, this would be dedicated for projects like new gear, turnout gear, the gear that keeps firefighters safe as they go in to fight fires, as safe as you can be when you do a thing like that, as well as some retrofit and enhancements for 53rd Street, 57th, I beg your pardon, 57th Street Fire Station, and a variety of other items. So the council has embraced this sale already through the authorities. We do need permission to spend under Indiana law, and I'm asking the council's favor to approve it this evening for first reading, and you'll have a chance to consider it at your hearing at your next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. What's the wishes of the council?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Pettit. Chair, I recognize Mrs. Uselak for second on ordinance 24-43 on first reading. Questions or comments from the council? Hearing none. Mr. January, roll call, please.
Vice President Neal,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haynes Edwards,
Aye.
Councilwoman Chandler Felton,
Aye.
Councilwoman Uselak,
Yes.
Councilman Pettit,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hardaway,
Yes.
President Bella.
Aye.
All seven in favor.
7-0, motion carries.
I thank the council.
Moving on tonight to resolutions, we have Resolution 24-31. We did talk about some issues with the resolution, and I'll ask at this time for a motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Uselak and a second by Counselor Shi to table Resolution 24-31. Would that be an appropriate action, Mr. Griffin, on this?
Mr. President, I think that's fully appropriate. I don't look for us to have an actual motion to take it from the table because it's going to come back as an ordinance, but I do think that's appropriate. Thank you.
Would it be more proper to defer?
No, I beg the council's pardon. No, because it's going to come back as an ordinance.
That's fine.
Ordinarily, that would be my advice, but we're going to have a whole new instrument.
Any other discussion on the tabling? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to Resolution 24-32. It's a resolution transferring a small amount of monies out of the tourism fund and into a contractual tourism fund. The amount's $1,442. The net effect is zero.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pettit, second by Ms. Neal,
Yes.
for approval of Resolution 24-32. Open for discussion. Hearing none, it's a resolution, a roll call vote sufficient. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to Resolution 24-33. Again, it's a transfer of funds. The amount is $45,000. The net effect is zero.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pettit, second by Mrs. Uselak, for approval of Resolution 24-33, transfer of funds. Questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Moving on tonight to Resolution 24-34. It's a resolution authorizing and approving, accepting and concurring in a license agreement between the Town of Merrillville, Ross Township Trustee in Trust for the use of the Merrillville Fire Protection Territory and SAB 2012 TC Assets LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, as grantee.
So moved.
Motion by Counselor Shi, second by
Second.
Mrs. Uselak. Thank you. Questions or comments on this motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Moving on tonight to BZA and large gathering actions. Ms. Shine.
Yes, our first petitioner is seeking a large gathering permit application. Chris, are you in the audience? Okay, could you come to the podium? This is for approval for the large gathering permit for the Christmas light display, 7595 East Lincoln Highway, November 29th through November 29, 2024 through January 1, 2025, and it's going to be on Sunday through Saturday, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. The applicant, Chris, will host a Christmas light display located at 7595 U.S. Highway at the 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the November 29th through January 1st. Anticipated visitors will be a maximum of 2,000 cars per day, and since the maximum of 2,000 cars per day, 2,000 tickets will be sold. Security plans have been confirmed by the Merrillville Police Department, as well as fire safety plans by the Merrillville Fire Department. There will be one male toilet facility, one female toilet facility to use. There will be one dumpster and 4 trash containers outside and will be maintained by Republic Service. There will not be a telephone service available to the public. No on-street parking will be available, and no overnight stays will be a part of the assembly. Vehicles will enter through the northwest entrance. They will follow a gravel Christmas lighted trail and traffic attendants into the waiting lines at the east of the property. Everyone will remain in their vehicles throughout the experience. The waiting lines will allow employees to collect interest fees from each customer. Each lane will then be released one after the other through the trail in the orderly fashion. As the vehicles drive through the trail, they are entertained with Christmas lights and scenes which are set throughout the property. Christmas music will be heard only inside the cars by radio station. Once they have approached the exit, they will be directed to depart the event through the south side of the bordering church and out to 83rd Avenue. The design of the trail enables an efficient, safe flow of vehicles. The extended entrance trail with the addition for vehicles waiting lines help facilitate large numbers of vehicles while customers will enter through the northwest end of the property. There is another entrance exit on the north end of the property. This will be used as an employee entrance and an emergency exit entrance. Upon exiting, customers will depart to the east on 83rd Avenue.
Gentlemen, welcome back.
How you doing?
So this will be your, is it third year now?
Fourth.
Fourth year,
Yeah.
okay.
Time goes quick.
I know we've made adjustments along the way with traffic patterns and lights and exits, et cetera, et cetera. And this is in Mr. Pettit's district. I'd like to defer to Sean for his initial comments.
Well, obviously, Chris has been extremely successful, so I'm going to make a motion, Mr. President, to approve this, but I have a comment to Costa and to Steve about this.
Let's get a second. We'll open it for
Right.
discussion.
Second.
Mrs. Uselak for the second. Go ahead, Mr. Pettit.
Earlier, guys, I received an email that I sent you, and Chris, there's a concern out in that area about 83rd and Randolph. That intersection's bad. I mean, people just fly down Randolph. And I guess to Costa and Steve, should we direct them to go west on 83rd back toward Grand Boulevard, Costa, instead of going to that intersection that's dark and avoid any kind of conflict? I'm sure Chris wouldn't mind if you guys direct your people to go to the west instead of the east, right?
We've actually had we have a big sign at the end of where they get to 83rd that actually tells them to go west.
Go
Because
west
then
on
that's
83rd back to
turning
Grand
right,
Boulevard.
which is easier for the flow rather than waiting to turn left.
All right, because the resident had asked about a three-way stop sign that Steve and I and Costa are kind of kicking around still and figuring out, you've got that hill on Randolph that's problematic, so, okay, that's all, Mr. President.
We also talked about, Steve was going to go out and take a look at the visibility there at that intersection. If we can cut back some foliage and make some improvements there for line of sight.
Yeah, we've cut some back there already, and there is a light there. There's a
street light,
There's
yeah.
a street light there.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion for these petitioners? I see you're already starting to assemble a lot of the displays.
We added some nice ones as well, so some other things that I think the town would like if people stop in, would be great.
Great, thank you. Anything else from the council? Hearing nothing else, roll call vote, please.
Vice President Neal,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haynes Edwards,
Aye.
Councilwoman Chandler Felton,
Aye.
Councilwoman Uselak,
Yes.
Councilman Pettit,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hardaway,
Yes.
President Bella,
Aye.
7 in favor.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Ms. Shine.
Our next petitioner is Erica Woods. Erica Woods, special exception approval for a daycare center at 6049 Broadway. Petitioner is seeking special exception approval from section 21-136 to allow a child care center at 6049 Broadway. This location was previously a daycare. Petitioner holds a bachelor's in education, a master's in early childhood development, and in the past has worked as an elementary school teacher. She states that she has been deeply motivated to provide exceptional care and education to children and their families. Subsequently, Erica Woods comes before this body with over 24 years of experience as a director of a well-established child care center located in Illinois. Petitioner submits that providing educational excellence has been her life's work. She is now excited to appear and request special exception approval to open a new center in Merrillville with services for children 2 through 12 years old, Monday through Friday, from 6:30 a.m. until 6 p.m. This facility will service 74 children at full capacity. Employ 10 teachers, teacher's assistant. Crayon University will use the creative curriculum, a proven educational framework that has been adopted by many preschool and Head Start programs across the country. This curriculum supports the children's development in all areas, cognitive, social, emotional, and physical, through engaging hands-on activity. Petitioner submits that proposed special exception of use will not be detrimental or endanger the public health, safety, and morals of the general welfare, and is in accordance with the comprehensive plan, because Crayon University will provide a quality early childhood education and safe environment while adhering to the rules and regulations of the state of Indiana and the town of Merrillville. The proposed special exception will not be injurious and to the use and enjoyment of the others in the property's immediate vicinities and the purpose already permitted, nor substantially diminish and impair property values. Crayon University blends seamlessly with existing community. To minimize traffic congestion, this center is conveniently located in the back of the shopping center, which subsequently allows for ample parking because the center is out of everyone's way. The establishment of the proposed special exception will not impede the normal or orderly development. Crayon University will not disrupt the normal flow of business for its neighbors. Fortunately, adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and all other necessary facilities already exist. Adequate ingress and egress exists. Granting approval for this proposed special exception is necessary because it is in the past, approval ended when the business ended. For this petitioner only, at this use only, and for this petitioner only, at this location only, and for this use only.
Thank you, Ms. Shine.
Ms. Woods.
Yes.
So, you heard a lot. My name is Erica, and my last name is Woods, and the property is at 6049 Broadway. I am a former teacher, but I am also currently a director of early childhood. I have been in that position for 24 years, and now I am seeking approval to open a child care center.
Very good. And this is in the strip mall there where Strachan Vale Tail is and such?
Yes.
Yeah.
This
This
is
is-
already.
is that
a
your
daycare.
district?
Yes,
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, it was.
okay.
Anything else, Keisha, from you?
So, Mr. President, I would like to add that the process for getting a child care license in the state of Indiana has switched from us, we have to give the license first, then the state will come in with the fire inspector and the state and fire inspector and actually approve the facility to be open.
Very good. I believe we need a motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Hardaway for a motion for approval, second for Ms. Siona.
Yes.
Questions or comments? Hearing none.
I have a question.
Ms.
Ms. Woods, you said just two, what is it, up to age 12?
Yes.
So do you have after-school pickup where you go to different schools and pick up those 12-year-old, those after-schoolers?
No, I wouldn't do transportation. They would have to be dropped off to us. I've done that for many years, and there seems to be a lot of liability with it, and it can get very confusing. And if it's not coordinated well, their children are waiting, and I just don't want to take on that responsibility.
Okay.
Anything else from the council? Hearing no other comments. Mr. January, roll call, please.
Vice President Neal,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haynes Edwards,
Aye.
Councilwoman Chandler Felton,
Aye.
Councilwoman Uselak,
Yes.
Councilman Pettit,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hardaway,
Yes.
President Bella,
Aye.
7 in favor.
7 in favor. Congratulations.
Thank
Your
you.
next up.
Appreciate it.
Our next petitioner is Mr. Michael Watson. These gentlemen are requesting special exception approval for a dine-in restaurant located at 5524 Broadway. Petitioners requesting special exception approval from Section 21-136 in a C2 Community Commercial Zoning District to allow a dine-in restaurant at 5524 Broadway. Petitioner is presently open as a carry-out restaurant only. Petitioner has been in the restaurant business for the past 7 years. In addition to serving great food, petitioner wants to hire locally and use monies generated to give back to teachers, first responders, etc. Petitioner restaurant will have 13 employees and be open on Sundays from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. and from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday. The restaurant will feature a variety of jerk food items to include chicken, salmon, shrimp, and lamb, etc., plus size. Petitioner submits that the established maintenance and operation of the proposed special exception will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, and morals of the general welfare in accordance with the comprehensive plan, because the petitioner states that he will keep up with the current food trends, food label inspections, etc. The proposed special exception will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of the other properties in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted, nor substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood, because employees and customers will both observe a code of conduct. Additionally, the establishment of the proposed special exception will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding properties for the use currently permitted in the district, because this is This restaurant will only operate during the normal business hours, and additionally, petitioner will keep the parking lot and landscaping free from debris and unsightly trash. Adequate utilities, access road, drainage, and other necessary facilities are already in place. Adequate measures to provide ingress and egress already exist. For this petitioner only, at this location only, and for this use only.
Good
Mr.
evening.
Woods.
Gentlemen, how are you?
How you guys doing?
So that's the old Pepe's building
Yes.
from decades ago.
Yep.
So I'm glad it's being used, actually. Counselor Hayes Edwards, anything to add? This is your district.
No.
I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve?
Counselor Shi for motion,
Yes.
Mrs. Neal for a second. Questions or comments for the petitioners? Anything else to add, Sheila?
No.
Very good. Mr. January, roll call, please.
Vice President Neal,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haynes Edwards,
Aye.
Councilwoman Chandler Felton,
Aye.
Councilwoman Uselak,
Yes.
Councilman Pettit,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hardaway,
Yes.
President Bella,
Aye.
7 in favor.
7 in favor. Congratulations, gentlemen, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Merrillville.
Appreciate you guys.
You bet. Ms. Shine.
Yes, and our last petitioner is Mr. Eric January from Conduit Investment Advisors.
Go ahead, Ms. Shine.
Mr. January is seeking special exception approval on 2.25 acres in the C3 Highway Commercial Zoning District. Petitioner is seeking special exception approval from Section 21-136 to allow a business office event and hall rentals at 7430 Broadway in the C3 Highway Commercial Zoning District. Conduit Investment Advisors located at 7430 Broadway would like to have office events and educational seminars that will promote financial literacy. Financial literacy events are designed to measure the participants' ability to apply reliable information and systematic decisions to personal financial information decisions. Petitioner will partner with other similar businesses to provide office space for training purposes in a contemporary setting. This property offers adequate parking that will not increase or the surrounding business and cringe. Petitioners would like to also provide hall rental. Additional to the establishment of the proposed special exception will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding properties for the uses already permitted in the district. There are over 70 parking spaces available. Petitioner submits that the proposed special exception use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public safety, morals, and general welfare as it is in accordance with the comprehensive plan. The proposed special exception will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of the other properties in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, and nor substantially diminish or impair the property values within the neighborhood. Adequate utilities, access road, drainage, and other necessary facilities are already in place. Adequate ingress and egress. The Conduit investment team occupies the building during business hours 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and this is for this petitioner only, at this location only, and for this use only.
Mr. January, tell us
Yes.
about your business there.
All right, so in addition to being an investment advisor, the thing that I've done that for over 30 years. In addition to that, I'm a CPA. I've written 3 books on money and economics. The books have been so accurate, I've been called the Einstein of finance. And they're titled Gainology. I predicted the housing crisis. I predicted the banking crisis. My books explain why globalization wasn't going to work. I've got a wealth of knowledge in the books I have been on the speaking circuit. I've been on WBEZ. I've been on all sorts of radio and TV stations. Paid, some of the stuff has been paid, and people recognize me and appreciate me for my honesty and my accuracy in what I say. I don't play when it comes to money. And I decided to, when I moved to Indiana, which I tell most people, I thought I lived in Africa before I moved to Indiana. I was that much of a Chicagoan. And when I moved here, the closest thing that would to my heart was Texas, where I played college football at and where I was born at. But when I moved here and saw the people and met many of my neighbors and enjoyed the environment, I mean, I got a bunch of friends that are here today. I thank God for the people that I've met. When this property came available, I heard a lot of people talking about it. I said, so let me go check it out. And when I saw it, I fell in love with it, because I'm a country guy at heart. I saw the 2.3 acres. I saw the river in the back. I saw the structure that was damaged in the back. I overlooked the complete ugliness of the building. There's still got work to be done. And I invested in it. You see the interior, you know that I invested in it. Maybe not, I haven't addressed the parts that Ms. Neal wants me to address, which is the grass. I will address the grass because if you come to my personal property, my grass is tall because I keep bees, and I like them to pollinate the grass. But I'm going to address that, make it what I believe was really the first community center in Merrillville. Because as I've been working on this project, I've met people that have had various functions there, and it's been an integral part of the community, but it was abandoned, dilapidated, the windows were broken, it was filled with asbestos, and I had to cover a lot of that stuff up. And the building is beautiful, if you see it now. People have been asking me, because the signs are on the marquee, can I rent this place? My primary thing that I'm going to do at this place is financial education, is events. So versus me having to go out and rent something from someplace that we don't have, I'll be able to use it at my own facility. And when the facility, when my crowd is too large, I'm going to Mr. Anthony's place to keep the business local. And I'm going to employ local people. So everything about my business is about transparency, and I'm asking for approval for this particular facility. I already have the business license, and I intend on continuing to conduct my business with my team, which is basically remote. So oftentimes when you pass by, I meet my team a couple times a week, and other than that, we visit remotely. The reason for me buying this building is for the events that I'm going to host and allowing other people to be able to go to a facility that's nice. People were using this facility previously, firefighters, police officers, and all of you have seen it, and to me it was disgusting. You walk in there now, you'll sit on the toilet and wouldn't have a problem. You wouldn't even feel like you have to wash the seat. Like you wouldn't have to wipe it down, it's that nice. That's what I've done to make the facility nice. That's the type of pride that I want to see in all of Merrillville, not just on 7430 Broadway. I want to see it up and down Broadway, 71st Street, and I believe that this could be a catalyst to something that can be great. But I need you all's support, because I've invested a lot of money in this place. It's time for me to get a return on investment.
Shiny, has everything been completed for the building? Are we good to go here with safety and all that? I know it's been some discussion.
So, Mr. President, the fire inspector and I have been talking with Mr. January about the things that's needed for him to go forward with the safety portion of it. Mr. Bob is in the building. He can further explain. Bob, could you come, please? What is needed for him to have the hood and all of that maintained. Mr. January, we sat down with Mr. January, and he pulled a permit for the interior remodel portion of it, and that portion has been inspected by our building inspector, Dan Brown. But there are a few fire safety things that need to be done in order for him to proceed. The hood system, let me see, I got my notes here. Bob, you're
Yeah,
better
I
than
could-
me, thank
So
you.
there's a couple different things here, and I spoke with Mr. January. In order to operate the kitchen, you need the hood and cleaned and the suppressor system inspected, which is already on schedule. We've already talked to the contractors about that. The biggest thing is if it's approved, before he can occupy it, because the building was built prior to the town becoming a town, downstate has no occupancy classification. So it basically just is a building. It doesn't exist for a commercial building in the state. So also with that, just like any assembly occupancy, you need an occupant load. So that way you would need to know how many people you can safely fit in that room. So again, before he'd be able to occupy it and use it as an event space, it would have to be downstate, occupancy classified, and have an occupant load in order for him to occupy it.
So Bob, do other towns in Lake County, do they do their own occupancy ratings?
No, I know, and Chief Yurga has looked into this too. Typically, we don't, just because, again, it kind of falls under, the way the fire code reads is that it has to be provided to us, not that we have to do it. What happens is when the architects or engineers give me the number, I review it, look it over, and assure that it's correct. If there's any problems, then, I go back to them whenever anything's built or any other assembly occupancy. But, other places in town, we've had to do the same exact thing. There was even another place that waited a year and a half for their occupant load and their business license because they didn't have it. And so they were waiting on it the entire time.
What about neighboring towns like Sherrville and Dyer?
No, and Chief Yura kind of speak probably better to that, there's stuff that you can go on for the state website and do. But that would be basically what, double dipping public services, Chief, if you.
Hey, guys, you're out of
Hang on,
order.
guys.
Guys, you're out of order,
Hang
sir.
on, hang on.
Go ahead.
So I did speak with Mr. January this morning. I was able to check with Sherrville because that was the example that was given. The Sherrville fire inspector, if the occupancy, let's say if it was a fish market and the new owner was a fish market, if as long as it was established and zoned as a fish market, that the local inspector would confirm that it's still the same, meaning that the building wasn't laid out different, all that good stuff. In this case, since it's not zoned, it's kind of like a catch-22. And there is a thing with the state, even though the state, if you call them, they're going to tell you, like Mr. January knows, that they only really do this for daycares. There is a link that you can go to. I don't know if you was able to go to it today, because I just found out about this today, so this is about all I know about it. You can request the state to do it if the local jurisdiction doesn't offer the occupancy setting, like we do not. I didn't get a chance to get a hold of Dyer, but Cheryl will be the only example, because that's the one that was given to me. So it's like 50-50. Some of it was, we don't do it, they don't do it, they do it to an extent, but all the requirements have to be met prior to that happening with the zoning.
So Chief Yeager, question, if the state does not do it and the town does not do it, who would he go to get it done?
Bob, that would be, like, normally it's an architect or a contractor, or, right?
So the architect or a contractor
Right.
could give him the occupancy.
I guess an engineer, I meant to say
load.
engineer,
Load,
architect, engineer.
And then it would come back to you all.
Right, and then I review it. And even for the state, I'm not sure what the paperwork is. I just know they have to have it classified downstate as an assembly occupancy for that reason.
Thank you.
So I wanted to add, because I talked to Sherrville and Dyer, and they clearly do it for their residents. And I got some quotes from architects. This building has been here for 72 years. It has been used exactly what has been used for. Walls that I wanted to take out, I couldn't take out because the building is made like a bunker. It's meant to survive World War III. So I couldn't do anything. It's the exact same dimensions as it was previously. It had occupancy limits of 175 and 75 in the bar. My family member took those things down and threw them out So if I had those things, we wouldn't be talking about it because it has had the occupancy. We can talk to people that have worked in the town of Merrillville, that I'm sure they've signed an affidavit stating that they had the occupancy limits there. So I don't believe that this is an issue, particularly after I spoke to Mr. Yerger today. This is another example of how maybe we've done things in the past where the fire department hasn't done this, but it is within the power of the town to do this because Cherville and Dyer are doing it. And it's right here on this nomenclature right here that you can get right off their website. This is not something that I just pulled up and conjured out of the sky. This is something that is overdue. We've got people paying, in my particular instance, when I called the first architect, after speaking with Bob, I got a price of $4,500 for a drawing that I don't need. So the fire marshal, if we added this to their thing, this could be another fee that they can be collecting, particularly when you consider the fact that we are going through this whole budget issue where we don't have enough money to fund the police department. Every business in this town at some point has got to have some sort of occupancy limit, and we got people that are constantly moving in and out. So I don't know why this is an issue, particularly after I've invested the amount of money that I have, and it's something that's going to benefit the town, is not endangering anybody. It had the occupancy loads up there previously. There's, in my mind, I'm not voting on this. It's up to you all to vote. Unless there's a tie, then I'll come up there and easily do the tie-breaking vote. But I know, based off of my conversations, and even Chief Yerger, when I brought it to his attention today, he mentioned, honestly, I hadn't thought about that as a new revenue source because the other towns are doing it. I didn't call and ask the cities because cities have different authorities than towns, but other towns are doing it.
Mr.
And
Tillman, did you
I
have
had it
something to add?
before.
Yeah, so to, excuse me, to speak to that, I'll tell you personally, I think we should stay away from me going out and doing that for a couple of reasons. One being it's only me and I don't have the time to do that. It's taking taxpayer money and using me on personal businesses, which I think is not ethical. But also, if for some reason I get that number wrong, for whatever reason, and say something happens to that building, they always come back to that number. If you look at history of fire, Station Nightclub and Rhode Island fire that you can see on, they overoccupied the building. I don't think the town should get involved in that. We've not done it yet. Other places have hired an architect and got it done themselves. Personally, I don't think it's a good idea, but that's my personal opinion. And again, I don't have the resources to go out and do it myself. It's going to take some time and energy, and I don't think we should open ourselves up to that litigation possibly, especially since we've had other people do it already.
Do we have the records that show that it had an occupancy limit? I mean, you're the fire department. Do you all keep records of it? Because it had the signs on it, just like you all made that sign right there that said 98. That sign was never there before. So you all have the capability of doing it.
Sir, this is a public building.
I know,
like
I understand this is a public building, but my point is, when you walk in there, if I got a sign like that and wrote 175 on it, how would you know that was correct?
We'd have to double check it.
Right, so when you went in the American Legion before,
I
how
had
did
never
you
been in
double
the
check?
building before, sir.
Somebody, I guarantee you, somebody in here, somebody, particularly a police, they, at some point, you all had to do some inspection and you noticed that. So it's not like I'm just saying this out the blue. It had the occupancy thing. But, and I'm going too far because for what I'm doing, I don't really need the hood system in order to do it. But I'm not planning to use the hood system, but it is being cleaned right now so that when I do events, people will be able to bring food in themselves. There are caterers that do that. So for what my intentions are right now, that's not necessary. I can cross that road, I can cross that bridge down the road. Right now, I need to be able to start getting a return on investment. And we should have a record of it. I shouldn't be punished because we don't have a record.
Thank you, Mr. January. Is there a motion from the council?
Motion to approve.
Counselor Shi,
Second.
question. Mr. January,
Yes,
how
ma'am.
much money did you invest into it so far?
Let's say it's well over $300,000,
Over 300,000?
well over $300,000.
Going right into the building?
Going right into the building.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question also.
Go ahead.
So how is the occupancy going to be resolved? You have to have it, so how is it going to be resolved?
Well, from what I understand, when I'm occupying it, using my business, I can use it as a business. This is when I'm renting it out to other people, the hall rental aspect.
So how is that going to be resolved?
That would have to be up to him. He just can't occupy it until we know the load and the state has an occupancy classification.
Can we make it part of the condition of approval, Mr. Stutnoff? Is that possible?
You can make it a part of
You can't use
condition
the
of
hood?
approval,
Yeah.
but the application is for a business event center, and a rental hall, correct?
Yes, but no,
Three combined uses.
well, no, in a C3, a business office like his investment office where when he got his license, he has a license.
Correct.
For that, conduit investment services for 4 people. He has that.
Correct.
Right.
The other two uses I'm talking
The
about.
other 2 uses that he was asking for is to be able to have seminars. In other words.
An event center.
Well, an event center, but in our ordinance 21-136, any kind of training services or anything like that goes for special exception approval. And that's what he wants to bring in as a part of his,
And then also a rental hall.
and then the rental hall, yes.
Correct.
Which it was already currently a hall rental place.
72 years.
But he has to get the special approval from the town council before restarting that use.
And also the state, because it was built prior to the town becoming a town, the state doesn't have it classified as that. So that's why the state has to have that, because if there are special events that require a special event permit through the state, that all has to be in line first.
So how was it able to function as a hall rental for all these years if the
It was-
state did not recognize
The
it?
state did not. The state just didn't identify it. It's one of the things that just was never
So
identified.
why are we identifying it now then?
Okay.
I'm
so,
just
Bob,
asking.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
I said, so why are we making it an issue to identify it now if the state has never identified it
Because
as
it was
such?
brought to my attention. That's why. So I have to make
But
sure
you
it's
also
up
said
to
you don't
code now.
care to do it as well,
No,
right?
it's not that I don't care to do it.
You said you don't have the time or energy, correct?
To calculate his occupant load for a
Okay.
private business? No,
I just
because
wanna
I
make
haven't
sure I
done
heard
it
it right.
previously.
Okay.
I've always had other entities
Right.
do that by themselves, which in the code, the fire code, which I referenced and gave to him, and I did the thing sent all of you guys, it says it needs to be provided to me, not me provide it to them.
Okay.
And that's why, it's not that it's an issue or anything, it's just one of the things of, it was identified as, okay, it wasn't that, because I called the state fire marshal and talked with him about it. He said it would have to be classified in the occupancy first, and then just like any occupant, assembly occupancy, you need an occupant load to know how many people you can safely fit in there.
So, Mr. Pillman, Mr. January said he can't get a hold of somebody at the state who said they would come up and do that. Can we assist in that by making a
Yeah,
phone call?
absolutely. I'll contact the state fire marshal, local
I
guy
don't know who
tomorrow. and
Eric's
give him
talking to,
contact.
but that's what he had shared with us
I
today.
agree.
What
the
Mr.
person
Coleman
said.
said was you'd have to hire a private architect.
Well, you could, but you,
To make the
the
determination.
state could also do it though.
Yeah, I didn't know about that until Chief Yerga, brought that up today. I just know, again, reaching out to him, I talk to him all the time, and he said, he looked it up, I said, what is it classified at? He said, it's not even classified because it was prior to the town becoming a town.
Okay.
I have
a question.
Go ahead, Ms. Hardaway.
What was this building prior to?
American Legion.
It was the Legion, but again, I had never been in there to identify the occupant load or anything in there. Part of the reason why the occupant load is a big deal, because it also depends on what layout you have. For example, if you have fixed seating, that number shrinks. If you have removable seating or tables, all that number, there's a lot of factors that go into that. So that's again why an architect is the best one to do that, because when we get new plans, that's already laid on the plans. The floor plan is all there, everything's laid out there, and they tell them the numbers. For example, with the community center, it's different occupant loads for the different events that are going on, depending on what they have. So again, looking at, any assembly area, I don't know what the layout's going to be because it's not on paper and it doesn't say that. To me, having documentation of that and having a third party verify that is the best thing to have happen.
So was the American Legion private or not-for-profit?
I, again, have no idea. Prior to me starting there, I had no idea. I hadn't been in here, so.
It was a private.
It's fraternal too. They treated fraternal organizations differently.
Is there any history
Of course,
somewhere that is documented, that's been recorded
it's gotta be.
on a building that has been there 72 years?
So.
Before the town
She
became,
would answer that.
But the
Sheila
use
would
is
answer that.
different now.
The use is the same.
The use is gonna be different,
It's exactly
because it's gonna be operating a private business, a private consulting firm, with
Which
an
he already
event
been
center,
approved for.
with a rental hall.
It's the same as a hall rental.
No, it's not quite the same.
The thing is that,
Because you're meeting in a room with the meeting.
again,
I'm asking-
it may have been used as it was before. I don't know. Now, records, those are up to the owners to hold themselves. I understand. The records probably don't exist because it's been so long, which is why it's imperative to have somebody else verify what needs to be done there.
The building was last occupied in 2021, am I correct?
I believe so. I'm not sure.
2022, because we had an event.
It
here
closed
in
just after I
21.
started there, or started here. So I don't know what the records were prior to me. All I know is I
I'm just
have
saying
to
it shouldn't
go
be
from where
that
I'm
far
at.
back where we couldn't get.
So, Mr.
records.
January, you're already 300,000 into it. What's another 4,000 to get the proper paperwork in order?
So,
Do it.
so that's the whole,
Architect,
that's
you
the
know.
whole point. Merrillville has got to be more competitive. We need to update our processes. We're losing ground to our surrounding neighbors because they have processes that are more time efficient and cost effective.
Okay, but I'm talking about your situation right now with your building today.
Correct.
Can you hire an architect to get the proper paperwork
For
done?
$4,500, that's unreasonable.
Well, can you
When
shop
they
it
are-
around?
when-
Maybe
when
get
they
it
already
cheaper,
have-
you know? I don't know.
Well, if the records were kept, this wouldn't be an issue. Because today, I imagine most of this stuff is digital. At some point, we didn't have a Chicago fire where the stuff got burnt down. It's somewhere in somebody's file cabinet, what the occupancy load is. And that's my point. And that's the only, in regards to me using the kitchen. For me to use the actual facility, that's a whole nother issue. If you want to pause the hall rental, I may be able to tolerate that. But I cannot pause having my events. I've got events that I've been putting on hold. In fact, the hall rental is an issue because I have to refund some people some money. It's costing me money every day that I cannot use this facility. And there's still more work to be done, but I put it on pause. I'm doing this hood cleaning thing because it's something that needs to be done. And I'm not trying to break a law, skirt a law. I want to make this town better.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Any
have
other?
another question,
Go ahead.
because I'm going back to the bottom line. I don't know about what happened in the past. I'm dealing with today to move forward. Do he need the
They
occupancy
can't hear you.
code? Does he need the occupancy code in order to open up the event side?
In order to occupy it, yes.
Okay, so then how are we gonna move forward with that? I just asked that
that's
15
again-
minutes.
They said they were
Right.
gonna, Pillman said he would make a call downstate. for the
Right, I
fire
will contact the
so-
state fire marshal, see how we can
So
help them
until
that
that
way.
happens.
He
then-
said he can put the hall rental on hold, but he wants to be able to open up
Okay,
his
can that be
business.
done?
Can we do that?
According to what Joe said, can
He
you
has the
put
business already.
The application, as far as I see it, is unified. So it is a business, private business, a business event center, and a rental hall. It cannot be parsed out.
Yes, it can.
How come it can't? I'm only asking because like he said, if he can put it on hold, or we can make special exceptions until he gets the occupancy done, are we able to do that?
The occupancy would be determinative on everything under the application.
This is what the
Any
state
other
person
questions or
said.
comments?
So are we not able to make a motion on this? What
We have a motion on the floor.
A motion to
And a
approve.
second on the floor.
Right.
How is it gonna be rectified? I'm still back in my same question. Like,
We're going to pull up some records. and
Why
we're
can't
gonna
we
find
approve
this
it contingent
occupancy.
upon the occupancy getting completed.
The occupancy,
Can we-
President Bella?
Joe, can
No
we-
matter who does it, the state or architect
Sure.
or whoever.
But my point, President Bella, this has already been done. The signs were there. We can get affidavits from people that have worked in this facility. I'm not
I
making
don't know if
this
that was
up.
going to be a legal thing to use though, Eric, because something happens
why
there,
wouldn't it be legal?
You're over capacity, it could be some big problems.
Somebody,
Can we give him a number not to go over until he gets the
Who did
occupancy
the
done?
determination 80 years ago?
What?
No, whenever the
When it op-
building was erected,
So-
who did the
it was
determination on the?
the building was built in phases. So that
No,
phase of the.
what we're talking about now is we're talking about calculated data that would determine the public health, safety, and welfare
Mm-hmm.
of capacity in that building.
We could do that ourselves. It's
No,
2,000
no, 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 no,
square
no, no,
feet.
no.
Let's do
No.
the math.
Well, what we're saying is contact the fire marshal, have the fire marshal come up and determine it, or hire an architect to do the determination. That's all we're asking.
This is
And
what the
Philman
fire
said he would
marshal said.
contact
I'm
the
telling you
fire
this.
department.
This is from Travis Clary. Eric, hi, Eric. I just strictly work with EMS and fire departments to ensure they have the proper medical equipment to make things simple. I do not do anything like this, unfortunately. I would check with your local building codes department for guidance. Have a good one.
And that came
Who's
from
Travis
downstate.
Perry?
He is the District 1 and 2 EMS Manager, Emergency Medical Services Division, Indiana Department of Homeland Security, who you contact through the fire marshal's page.
And you.
I'm saying,
And-
have the fire marshal do the determination, or have the architect do a determination.
If the fire marshal wants to do it, I'm all good with it.
Well, no.
I'll pay a fee.
What I'm saying, either or,
The state just said he's not gonna come down and do it. They only do it for daycare centers.
So is the EMS director the state fire marshal?
Yes.
Pillman, can you confirm or deny that?
Doesn't sound correct to me, no.
So, Ms. Shine,
So,
can we check with the county?
Here's the thing with the whole issue with the occupancy load from then till now. We don't know anything what the layout was or anything it was built in phases. We don't know when that occupant load, what it was, what it posted, when it was posted, if it was accurate and kept up to date. I would have anybody in town, and I have it, any business in town, verify those numbers through an architect, through that third party. It's a safer, easier thing. That's what they do. I understand it's a cost, but it's a cost of doing business that it's not just one person. I've done it universally across the board to everybody. I have them verify those numbers to confirm, because again, if they had fixed seating, maybe the number goes up, maybe it goes down. Depending on what the numbers are, depends on what type of life safety issues you need in the building. When you look at the history of fires, that occupant load is one of the first things they look at, and they start pointing fingers of who did it and whose fault it is. And I don't want to be on the end of that, and I know none of you do, and I know the fire chief will not be.
Other towns are doing it.
So, Ms. Shine, would the county have records on the American Legion building?
So it's very difficult. We didn't start keeping records here till 1971.
Okay,
So if that building was built prior to 1971, we have no record of it.
okay, so let me ask
So
you.
Mr. Bella has just, hold on, he's just asked me to check with the county. We can check, but I doubt it. Because, as you know, I just had to get rid of all of my records because I had too many back there and find a place for them. But I can, Mr. Bella, check with the county to see if there's anything to help get the occupancy for that building. And I do want to say to Mr. January, as I talk to him and to the residents here in the town of Merrillville, we make everybody do this. This is the end. We get pushback, but we make everybody do this because it is this,
That's it.
so.
So let's clarify, to get, Ms. Shine?
When I say we make everyone do this, we have people who buy buildings and come to us and ask us for building permits. We have to make sure that it has a Knox box. We have to make sure that it's safe. We have to make sure that it's sprinkled if it need to be sprinkled. And there are some older buildings that didn't have any of that, don't have any records of it. People buy buildings. One of the things that people aren't as savvy as they should be about real estate when they buy buildings, when you buy a building, you need to ask for all of this. You need to say, when do you have this? Do you have the platted survey? Do you have this? Do you have the building plans? We have people come to us to ask us, well, how are the pipes in the floor at the building? I know you have it. We don't have that.
Okay, guys,
So I'm not going to go back and
So
forth.
let's clarify.
I just want to explain.
Okay, I'm sorry, hold on, it's not
let's
public comment,
clarify
so
something.
It's okay. One
So, Ms.
second.
Shine, when you said you got rid of files, you mean you relocated them?
I
to a different-
relocated mine.
Yeah, you didn't
So I
get rid
would-
of files, we just relocated them to a safer
No, I
building.
relocated mine, so,
Okay.
but I'm going to,
Okay, go ahead, Bob.
So I just want to say that Thursday was not the first
No, she
time
didn't
that
say she threw them
Mr.
out. She
January
said she
was
got
told
rid of
about
them
this.
from this building.
I did inform this to Mr. January a month or so ago when we had a meeting, a bunch of us, so Thursday was not the first time this has been stated.
Okay.
So it's not like it was just sprung on him or anybody else.
Okay.
It was stated previously to where this was known prior to, so it wasn't just all of a sudden, boom. This was a month or so ago whenever Ms. Shine, me, Dan Brown, and Mr. Griffin all sat down in a meeting.
Okay.
So,
When you read that, when I read the final report and saw that you could jeopardize me actually being a licensed, I may have heard what you said sometimes, and just like a lot of people, you can hear some things but not really hear it. But when I read it, because I'm a very good reader with very high comprehension, I'm like, hold up, this is wrong. There's no way that you all don't have this record. And I know this may have been your practice in the past, but Dyer and Sherrville, which are kicking our butts economically, are doing it.
No, they
And
aren't.
you all may not be comfortable doing it,
Okay,
but we need to really consider updating our policies, because this could be a new revenue source for the fire department.
If it's something that we do look into to update, so we still need to deal with what you're doing with now? I'm not disagreeing that that's something that we may not need to look into, but how are you planning on getting that so you can get your business open?
are you gonna
Gilman said
speak
that he's gonna have the
county
fire
level?
chief come down.
Are you gonna say something with your
Yes.
knowledge with Lake County?
Yes.
Go ahead, sure.
Yes. Okay. My name is Brenda Ford, and the American Legion has always been a part of the FOP. I'm part of that, too. Our past councilman, Officer Metcalf, was the FOP president. Metcalf. So he is very familiar of that building. We've had very many events located at that building. I've seen it from day one. I've been there many a times, and I've seen it as he's been renovating it. Nothing has been totally burned down or crushed down or anything. He has just revised the setting per se. So if you want the count or the information of the count of the people that can be in that building, the officer would be, I'm sure, more than happy to give you that count. And he's had many events there as part, they've had meetings there from the FOP, and they have been there for quite a long time.
Thank you, Ms. Ford.
okay.
Anything else to add? Any other questions from the council?
Yes, I have one.
Oh, Leon?
I just need some help in understanding how a building can be here for 72 years and been occupied by the town since 1971 and not have any records for that occupancy, for that building being erected. That just does not make sense to me. Not at all. Because every building that's erected should have some records that it was erected and the capacity that's supposed to be in there. Make it make sense to me.
Anyone want to answer that, Ms. Shine? I think you already kind of answered it. It was built before the town became a town.
I
That's
understand
why I
that.
don't,
There's no
I don't
records
have
here.
anything, because it was built before
But
the
the
town.
main
became
question
a
is,
town.
who made the determination on occupancy when the building was built?
When it,
Thank you.
yeah.
But
When it
since we
says
don't
it
know that,
says,
don't we just move forward and
Right.
get it done? So now we'll have it? So that's why.
So why wouldn't the town,
Let's just get it done, so you can get your
So y'all want him to pay for
But
it?
we cannot legally just stick a number on there. They have to find out, so they need to go through the proper. Sheila, what do the other, resident or people who in the same situation?
I think we just made the Chateau do this recently with their addition, didn't we?
We just made, I didn't want to call names, because I didn't want to do that, but we did just make, Mr. Williams at the Chateau do it ask him to do it, I'm sorry. But because it was contingent upon him moving along with this building. So he had to get occupancy for each one of those rooms there because for some reason, we didn't have it. So his architect,
Well, the Knights of Columbus was built before the.
and the Knights of Columbus was built before the town. So his architect supplied it for us. Case in point, Fiesta Palace, everybody's familiar with that? Down the street. Sold to another entity. They didn't have it. But that gentleman, the pastor of that church that he has there, he got it. His architect provided it. That's how we got it in the past. I don't know if the fire, I will check into it, if the fire, and work with Mr. Pillman and see if someone would come up and do those for us. I don't know. I would have to see, but we have asked people to do them, and they've done them.
Chief
Okay, real
Yurga.
quick, the link, I did provide Mr. January with a link from the state fire marshal's office on the IDHS website. You click on the link, you fill the form out, and the header to it is, if your local jurisdiction or your authority having jurisdiction, which is us, if they do not provide the service, the state will consider doing it. Now, I will offer that you can do that, and then I can talk to our contacts with Bob in the state fire marshal's office to see what that all entails. If it's, because you talked to the EMS division, there's 17 different divisions down there. Maybe you talked to the wrong person, I don't know, but when you said EMS, that's not life safety, that's not the fire department. It is, but it's a division, wrong division. Where you're looking for the building and, Division of Fire and Building Safety.
Steve Jones.
So I will, no matter what happens, I will work with Mr. January, with Bob, to get the right resolution to this, to figure out who's gonna come and do this. We're just saying that we can't, because we're not gonna take the liability. We did it here because we're employees of the town of Merrillville, and we were confident with our numbers, and we will stand by these, and we'll take the heat for this. We can't do that for everybody in the town. So, but we will work with you with the link I provided. We can get the right contact.
So with Chief Yerger saying that, can we move forward now?
He was talking about a contingency.
That's what I'm asking. With Chief Yerger saying that he will help in any way possible to make sure that this gets done, can we move forward now?
Make it a condition of the motion, sure.
Yes. All right,
So we can make a condition.
on the motion.
For him
Shauna
getting the
has to make
occupancy permit,
Condition on the
yeah.
motion, that she made the motion, okay.
So the
Do you
condition.
want to amend your motion, Counselor Shi?
Okay. I would like to amend the motion to approve on the condition to approve, provided that Chief Yerger helps January get the occupancy level needed to move forward. Is that right?
Mr. Svetnov, can you help out with the?
It would be for the fire department to desist.
Hang on,
Okay.
hang on.
Guys, come on.
Enough. Okay. That's it.
Okay, Joe, what am I?
How was there not
Okay.
any documentation all these years on a limit? Shouldn't that be a part of the inspection?
So, Mr. Svetnov, can you help with the motion?
Can you help me with the motion?
I understand this building was put up before Merrillville was a town, but how was it able to operate as a business all these years without something being on file about an occupancy limit? How's that possible? This may be the first time that this issue has come up.
The motion,
Buildings in this town that have gone up prior to that.
the motion is trying to help him to get this building open.
Yes.
So it's no need to really to argue and debate over. We're trying to ensure that Mr. January's building is open and open properly, so nobody can turn around and come back and say he didn't do this or that or the other. So that's what we're trying to do.
So we're trying to get it done, and when you interrupt, we can't get it done.
Yeah,
So
that's all we're trying
please,
to make
guys,
sure
no more
that it's
interruptions.
open-
Let us
it's open
let's get it
properly,
done,
so
okay?
it's sealed like
Please.
everybody else's is sealed.
Okay, get your people, Brian.
So,
Yeah.
Mr. Svetnov, you were assisting with a motion for Counselor Shi.
The contingency that I was going to bring in regarding the motion would be that the fire department is going to assist in getting in contact with the fire marshal to assist in a determination of the occupancy. But what I have to say is, if the state refuses to do it, then that's going to resort back to the owner finding a necessary alternative to that, which would be hiring a private architect to do this. We have to determine the occupancy. The occupancy is most important as related by our public safety officials here tonight. So if the state can't determine it or won't determine it, then it has to go back to the owner to make the final determination through a licensed architect.
So what is the motion that I'm saying now? What am I doing?
It's a contingency on the state of Indiana through the state fire marshal making a determination on the real estate in question. But if,
Well, really, we
Councilman
just need-
Shi, it's not that easy, because if the state refuses to do it, what do we do then?
Then, like we said, we go back to square one, but right now, we just need the motion to approve what Chief Yerger just said on the conditions that he will help assist him in any way possible to get this done. We don't need all of the extra right now, because we know that if the state does not do it, it's gonna fall back on January. We are making this way more difficult than it has to be.
Okay.
So it should be contingent upon the occupancy getting done, no matter who does it, like I said.
I make a motion contingent upon the occupancy, whether the state or January does it, motion to approve.
Is that okay with you, Mr. January?
I don't
Mr.
believe you
Leonis?
all are giving me a choice, and I think that is one of the reasons that the town is losing business. But if that's what I have to do, I've got too much invested to turn around right now.
Ms. Leona, does your second stand?
I will second.
All right. Any other questions or comments now on the new motion? Mr. Jeremy, would you come back and call roll for us?
Vice President Neal,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haynes Edwards,
Aye.
Councilwoman Chandler Felton,
Aye.
Councilwoman Uselak,
Yes.
Councilman Pettit,
Abstain.
Councilwoman Hardaway,
Yes.
President Bella.
Aye.
6 in favor, 1 abstention.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to public comment. Please state your name and address for the record, and we allow 3 minutes.
3 minutes, people, 3 minutes. And please, if we're going to say the same thing, can we just have one person speak from your group? Not everybody repeating the same thing.
We'll look into it, yeah.
Brian Messarch, 201 East 68th Place. I'd like to introduce the Merrillville
We can't hear
Change
you.
Agency. Brian Messarch, 201 East 68th Place. I'd like to introduce the Merrillville Change Agency. We are all change agents. We're all standing together, but we're all in line separately to speak. And some of our members might even yield their time to some of us
We don't really
to
do that.
move forward per Robert's rules. Our mission statement is pretty simple: improve resident awareness and restore integrity to the town of Merrillville through common involvement and action. The primary goal of this group is to meet our fellow neighbors, build community spirit, and make new friendships. When you get to know people and they come together, you begin to care about one another. So our goal is to build our community one relationship at a time. It's unfortunate that most of the people on Merrillville Town Council don't believe in this. We had to form because you decided to ignore us. We're out in the community now taking action. We're tired of things like abandoned buildings and unmowed and unkept lawns and unkept properties. I've been coming to these meetings for years, abandoned and blighted. What's the report? No report. Oh, we got blight court. And then I go to blight court, and you know how many fines are issued? None. As a matter of fact, we took down a house that now is overgrown, and there's still no lien issued. The town spent, what, 50-some thousand dollars? Still, in July, still no lien issued against the property owner, which means that property owner does not have any fines against them. It's terrible. So our group has come together, and we're going to be not only a watchdog over what's going on here at council meetings, we're also going to be out in the town doing positive things to build spirit. One of the things that we'd like to do is recognize Matt Lake. This guy is an absolute all-star. He has helped quite a number of the people in High School Heights or Merrill Heights with our stormwater situation, and we want to make sure that we're not just criticizing people, because Matt Lake, you are wonderful. Thank you for all of your hard effort, and your department too. You guys are great. Another thing that I'd like to point out that we're going to start is building awareness and starting a petition. If you care about the fire department, 73rd Madison Street is where their memorial should be. It's plain and simple. On May 18th, President Bella offered that spot to them. It's time for some follow-through. Let's give the fire department what they want so that it's a memorial. It doesn't matter if it's a flood zone, because statues won't drown. Another thing, a year ago, Mr. Pettit promised Mr. and Mrs. Dunscombe, two of the greatest science teachers the Merrillville school system will ever know, for deer crossing signs down at Lincoln Mill Road and 73rd. There's a lot of deer down that way. A year has gone by, still no signs. We need to get some safety signs up, because people in my ward are concerned about things.
Finish up, Brian. You're over time.
The last thing that I'd like to point out is the Merrillville Pirates are in regionals versus the Valpo Vikings. Let's go. It's a home game. Let's go out and support the Merrillville Pirates.
All right.
David Graff. David Graff. I've been a Merrillville resident for 18 years. Ward 4. I defer my time.
They're yielding time.
Amy Schellenberger, 6950 Delaware Street. So first, I wanted to give huge thanks to Matt Lake, for the excellent communication with me during that stormwater project. I know originally it was a big headache for me, and I came up here and I was really upset. We talked. He's done an excellent job with communication and working with me and helping fix the yard and everything like that. So I just really wanted to just thank you and just helping me out there and getting things done. So thank you. So to the rest of council, so we got that $1.5 million crossing match grant to be, so how are we planning to use that? What roads, streets are we gonna fix? I don't want this money to magically end up in another department, because that seems to be a big thing that we keep doing. So I just wanna know first, where is that $1.5 million actually going to go to? What roads, what
Well,
streets?
that'll be in the minutes, because Mr. King announced every street and road that we're going to be using that grant money for, ma'am.
Okay,
During
thank
his
you.
report.
Okay, and most of you have been making decisions about our town without getting our input or just playing out ignoring us when we're trying to talk to you and telling you, hey, can you talk to us about this? Can we have a discussion about this? You guys just make that decision. So right now, it's time for you guys to just kind of show us that total transparency on everything, because we just, at this point, don't trust you guys. Okay, so we just ask that we see that total transparency. I know last time I asked about the money and the budget and everything like that, and you said, hey, we're gonna put it online. I haven't seen that online with the breakdown, unless it's somewhere that's not on the town page, it hasn't appeared. So we just want a total transparency of what's really going on, where our money is going, so it's not being abused. Thank you.
Samuel Payan, 407 West 89th Place. Just curious to see where we're at with that application that was sent downstate that was misrepresented about our opposition for the tax levy. So that I believe Mr. Griffin shared there was no opposition. So I was just wondering where that status is, or which actual document was submitted. The actual one that include our opinion, or the one that was true, or the not so truthful one? So can somebody answer that, please?
Stay after the meeting, and you can talk to Mr. Griffin, sir.
I think a lot of us have public interest in that.
It's not Q&A, guys. I don't know how to relay that.
Comment section only.
Public comments.
It's public comments.
Okay.
Being fair to everybody.
Okay, so
And Mr. January could fill you in, too.
can that be posted on the Q&A section on the website for transparency? Since
There
there's,
is no Q&A section.
well, can there be? Well, there are webmasters, so we could do that? We want to be transparent, right?
Yep.
Yes or no?
Sure.
Okay, can that be generated, or who's the webmaster?
Mr. Griffin regarding the question.
Can that be posted for the public on the website so we can know?
You could post it if you want. You guys do a lot of posting.
We'll talk directly after this. I'll give you all the information, Sam, and, because I can answer your questions
Everything's been
pretty
set
simple.
down to the state.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it would be good to maybe have that, maybe think about to, for transparency's sake, to have it on the website.
Thanks, Sam.
Chris Holst, 800 West 73rd Avenue. I want to start by saying I came to my first town council meeting August of last year. And the reason for my visit was because we needed to save our island there on 73rd and Van Buren. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Minchuk, because even through that process, he made us think bigger than we ever thought. It's a beautiful piece. It's a piece of beauty for our community. We get thanked for it every time we're out there. But along with that, we had a conversation about the Great Sauk Trail sign. And as you notice, we've been pretty quiet on it. But at that time, we were promised that we would have a replica. We were also told at that time that, quote unquote, it was moved for the historical district. Well, I have some news for you all. It was never moved. When it was hit, it sat in a historical society for a year. No one knew where it was at except for the historical society. And Joe Berger put his own money into it to rectify it. He put it in there. That's why you haven't heard anything, because I was not going to ask a private citizen who put his own money into it. And by the way, Joe was there when that sign was actually put in. When they had the opening ceremony on it, he was there. That's the kind of guy I want in this community. That's the kind of guy I want to lead. We were misrepresented all along that the town council could do something for us on that, which never transpired at all. So it was completely misrepresented. That all ties in to the mistrust that the public is starting to feel for the town council. When we look at the application and see there's no objections, 297 people were in the room that night. A couple hundred more couldn't get in the building. I think that's opposition, folks. I don't understand how that document could say there was no opposition. That is completely wrong. That is not taking care of the community who put you in office. Another concern of mine is the loss of services that we're starting to see.
Please finish up, sir.
We don't have a town court. We don't have animal control anymore. And every time we're turning around, we're saying we don't have the money. Well, we're starting to realize that it's not on accident, it's by purpose. We understand that there's crises being perpetrated on the community and then telling us that we don't have the money. It's not a secret anymore, folks.
Pablo Payan, 8031 Massachusetts Street. So I'm a real estate investor. I have several rental properties in Gary, Michigan City. I just purchased a 2-unit in Michigan City. The house was built in 1890, so it's an old house. And I was thinking about investing in Merrillville, buying rental properties in Merrillville. What if I run into this problem? Documents are missing. What then? I'm going to sit with this property 3, 6 months, 8 months, can't rent it out, losing money. Exactly, this happened in Eric January. When his building was occupied prior to this, people were using it. There was no question about capacity. Was it because police was in there, or fire department, or a councilman? I don't know. But now it's a problem. And I find it hard to believe there's not one document in here or in the county regarding to this building. I just find it absurd. I mean, as a business person, this would be devastating. And to the rest of the people, I mean, this could happen to you. You know, there's how many people here, and they said no objection to the tax increase? They circled this. They said, was there any opposition or objection to the excess levy appeal? No, they circled. They circled no. And submitted this, tried to submit it, well, submitted to the state without Eric January's signature. They said, were any public comments received in opposition or support of the excess levy appeal? They said no. Mr. Griffin says he's a man of integrity, but circled no. That's not real integrity to me. So next time you guys vote, realize who you guys are voting for. You know, do your research, you know.
Moving on tonight to announcements.
Yeah. Darian Collins, 2505 West 65th Avenue. I guess I'm not opposed to the tax increase. If we need it for bona fide things for the town, I'm not opposed to it. I don't know if we need it because I haven't listened to a presentation. What should have been done is that each one of you should have called a meeting in your ward, and you should have talked to the residents in your ward and said, we need to do this. It's not popular, but we need to do this. And this is why we need to do this. And this is what it's going to benefit the town and each one of you. When my son comes to me for my money, I want to know why. So he has to tell me, Ma, I want to get a new PlayStation for me and Quentin. Now, I may not like that, but at least he's giving me an explanation of what he wants to do to borrow some money from me. You guys should have said, you should have had town halls. That's what they do. You get a town hall, and you talk to people, and you find out, this is unpopular, but we need to do this. And we need buy-in. You don't leave it for public comment and ram it down people's throats or up their butts. You don't do that. So I'm not saying, I've been here 23 years. I'm not saying I'm against paying more money if it's going to benefit the town. I'm not saying I am. But I'm saying it should have been explained in a better way to those of us that are going to pay it. So the next time around, when election season comes, people are going to remember this. And the next time around, when you do this, have town halls and talk to us like we mean something and like our opinion means something. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'd like to think I'm a friend of the town council, which I am. As old as I am, I wish at times I would have a hearing aid so I could turn it down tonight with all the negative comments. One thing, this is, I'd like to say this is the greatest town in Indiana, regardless of what people say about it. But in getting to Mr. January's situation, fortunately, I was around when the American Legion building was built. And at that time, they didn't have all the regulations and the stuff that they have now. You hired a contractor, and he came in, you told him what you wanted, you put a roof on it, sectioned it off. If the roof leaked in 2 years, then you went after the contractor. You didn't go to anybody else. Now, as a member of the Merrillville Historical Society and also a member of the American Legion, when I found out that the American Legion was going to close, it was going defunct, I tried to rescue a lot of the stuff in the building. Talking to the officers, there's still a couple of them around. But all the stuff that was in that building, the records and all that stuff, was boxed up. And there was an individual, a lady, and I don't know her name, I don't know much about her, but anyhow, she got most of that stuff, and to my knowledge, it's destroyed. I would have liked to have got some of the old documents from when they had the charter and all that stuff for the American Historical Society, but I guess it wasn't meant to be. So the people that are trying to blame it on the town for not having records and that, the stuff that was there is lost. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I have one comment.
Oh, go ahead, Ms. Hardaway.
Chief Yerga, do you mind stepping to the podium? I have a question for you. Sorry to make you walk.
Go ahead.
The property on 73rd, are you guys ready for that yet?
Are we ready for what?
The property on 73rd to make a memorial, are you ready for it?
No, we're not financially ready for it, no.
Okay.
No. But when we are, we'll be,
You will come before the council?
sure.
All right. That's all I have. Thank
That's
you.
it.
So, actually, we looked into that already, Chief, didn't we, back and forth? We
Yeah.
got Joe involved.
Yeah.
The town and the fire department is all one entity, basically.
Everything
They
that
can
the-
do
everything the
whatever-
fire territory
Whatever you
has.
want to do with the property, we gave you permission to do so. We don't need a motion, we don't need an ordinance, we don't need a big hoopla blah. We just said, if you want to do something with the property, go ahead. You just can't build a building on a floodplain.
That's true. Everything the fire territory has is titled to the town of Merrillville,
Yeah,
correct?
so it's all one big happy family, so.
Right.
I think we got Matt Lake involved because of the creeks there, so
Piece of place.
there's nothing to really do, Brian, so it's all done. You should feel good about that.
Thank you, Chief.
I have a question. We're talking about 73rd and Madison
Yes.
on the, which corner?
Where the pizza place used to be.
Across from Speedway.
I just wanted to make sure.
Mhm.
Okay.
Ian Davidson Dugan, I'm president of the Merrillville FOP. I just want to make it clear that right now, yes, I'm standing here in uniform. However, I am only speaking on behalf of the Fraternal Order Police Lodge 168. There's been some comments tonight regarding the old Legion property. I just want to make it abundantly clear that the FOP had no hand in the actual operation and running of that organization and that building. They were kind enough to allow us to use their facility most of the time at no cost, and that was our only involvement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next council meeting will be on November 26th at 6:30. The RDC meeting will be Tuesday, November 26th at 6:15. And remember, the tree lighting celebration and contest are December 6th at the Dean and Barbara White Community Center.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, may I make one informational
Ms. Hudson?
statement? There have been several comments asking about the levy appeal paperwork not being online. And I would simply like to state that on the Merrillville website, under the residents drop-down menu, the 2025 budget proposal title is on the right side. Upon clicking there, there are 4 choices below in blue. The Merrillville Emergency Levy Appeal is the document that was filed downstate. Page 4 is the page with the answers about objections. And at questions 3 and 4, there are notations about referring to why the answers are the way they are and referring further into the document for additional information.
Okay, so I was not going to read this, but you are deceptive. That's why you are disbarred as an attorney. And I was not going to read this. I was quiet, but since you came up here and said this, this is something that I got.
Okay.
This is something that I got. Please forward me your editor's information. You have done another great job of telling the one side of the story that is inaccurate and biased. This is me sending the email to the Northwest Indiana Times. How can you have stated that January's quote-unquote, January's characterization differs from the text of the following? What the town manager and the consultant wrote wasn't questions. In other words, what the state wrote in the text of the following, they answered no to the questions that the state asked, and those responses are lies. What is written underneath each question isn't what the state used to determine whether or not to deny or approve an excess levy appeal. The actual questions are. Answering yes, which is the truth, would have hindered the massive tax hike. You got played again. This is what I said to Alex. This was his response. When I sent him the actual document, this is his response. Hi, Mr. January. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. After the meeting, Mr. Griffith showed me a printout of the filing that did include the financial advisor's notes, but did not show the no answer circled. In other words, it was a blank page. Answer circled, see attached, and I can show you the attachment. I see from your attachment that that was not the version you saw. I'm going to figure this out, how this happened, and I will get the article updated to reflect this clarification. So when I was called a liar at the last meeting, this is what this man is addressing. And what you're basically trying to tell the public is that what the newspapers saw and what you all provided them is correct, is not correct. I have the printout. I can show you what Andrew Steele at Northwest Indiana Times showed me. That was completely inaccurate, and you're providing misleading information. What the state got is the actual stuff. So to answer your question, Pablo, yes, they got the stuff that I sent them. They got the stuff. I had to submit the stuff that they, or the original, not the levy appeal, but the actual budget. I didn't submit the levy appeal because the stuff was inaccurate. I didn't sign off on it. So they sent it anyway via email. And my whole point in this is that I've been mischaracterized as somebody that's lying and misrepresenting the truth, whereas they're presenting false information to the press and trying to make me look bad. I'm a CPA, been licensed for 30 years. When bankers see my stuff, they take it to the bank and rely on it. My integrity is worth way more than any money anybody could ever provide me. I'll never compromise on that type of stuff. But to get up here and make it seem like I'm telling an untruth, that is completely inaccurate. You should sit down.
Mr. January, I was not addressing this to imply anything about anything that you've said today. I wanted the residents to know. Excuse me, I listened to
No,
you.
no, I will let her talk. But I was not gonna say anything about it. I had this stuff, I could have ignited the flame, but I didn't.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. President. Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
You
Second.
don't need it.
We're done.
We're done. Hey, guys.
This is too much.